The Swan Princess has become a way too forgotten animated film, so today I think we need to revive this classic and ponder on where in the holy hexadecimal Odette's mother is. Hey guys, I'm still McGann, this is still the Fangirl, and we are going to bask in the glorious 1994 princess film, The Swan Princess. Now, some of you might be browsing through Disney Plus right now going, I can't find it! Well, my dears, that's because Odette is not a Disney princess. In fact, The Swan Princess was created by a mix of almost every other animation studio that existed at the time. And even though Nest Animation got top billing, Sony and Rankin Bass were really the biggest names attached to this film. So if you haven't seen it, very quick recap of the movie here. King William finally has a baby, and gosh darn it, it's a girl. So of course, the main focus of the film has to be about getting the baby girl, Odette, married. And the neighboring kingdom that's run by the widowed queen Uberta has a cute enough son named Derek that she'd like to force into an arranged marriage. So the two monarchs, who seem to get along famously already, decide to betroth their children to inflict double peace and harmony among their lands. And the movie does not want to deal with any hint of the political aspect of things, but Derek and Odette cannot stand each other until one day when Odette comes to stay for the summer and she's become so pretty that Derek can't stop tripping over himself and suddenly wants to marry Odette. I don't know why there's an arranged marriage if the children still have to agree to it. It's really weird. But when Odette asks if Derek values anything other than her beauty...
But what else?
What else?
Is beauty all that matters to you?
Derek, being a truly well-raised gentleman, retorts with, "What else is there?"
What else is there?
So Odette gets offended and leaves with her father, but they end up attacked by an evil, wizard dude? His exact role and motives seem really sketchy, and this dude has the weirdest speaking pattern I've ever heard in my life.
Once you steal something, you spend your whole life fighting to keep it. No. You mean? Oh, Odette, you've made me so happy. I'll be a good king, you'll see. I'll wear nice clothes, and I'm going to get my beard trimmed.
But his name is Rothbart, and he's just over here being villainous for the sake of villainy. And Rothbart seems to take out King William, even though the movie glosses right over that. And the film completely ignores who took over the kingdom in his stead. And for no real reason, Derek shows up to be all like, Khan! And everyone thinks Odette has been done in too, but really she's a swan that turns into a human when the moonlight touches her wings on Rothbart's lake. And the really sketchy thing is that the trauma of being turned into a swan seems to have impacted Odette's mind, because now she can't shut up about how much she loves Derek and that he's her one true love. What? However, if Odette won't agree to marry Rothy, she turns back into a swan every morning. So by day one way, by night another, this will be the norm until you find true love's first kiss and take true love's true form. Oh wait, that's Shrek. And Odette's all like, oh, I have to kiss my true love Derek and he must proclaim his love for me to the world because that's the only way to break this curse. And again, the rules on all of this are really convoluted and untested, but supposedly her true love, making a vow of undying love, is what will break this curse. And it's just like, my guy, if you really want to win, don't put loopholes in your dark magic. You're already in the dark arts. You really need to commit and go all in on the menacing if you want to succeed. Anyways, Derek figures out that Odette is a swan, but Derek's mom has this crazy no time to mourn, you must pick a different bride ball, where Derek ends up declaring his eternal fidelity to a haggard old lady disguised as Odette. And that action, even though Derek was definitely professing his love for the real Odette, ends up making Odette the Swan fade to blackness. And there's not even a song in this moment, even though it is the perfect opportunity to make a swan song. But then things happen, Rothbart gets defeated, and Odette becomes a permanent human again because magic is apparently tied to the caster and holds no long-term impact in this universe. Truly, I like so many elements of this movie, and I think Odette is a visually well-designed character, even if the other cast members look a little phoned in and generic. But the songs in this movie are plentiful and horrendous. Obviously, the mid-90s was the height of Disney's Renaissance era, where princess films were performing astronomically well, so girl-oriented animated films like Thumbelina, Anastasia, The Princess and the Goblin, Happily Ever After, Ferngully, Quest for Camelot, and The Swan Princess were thrown into the market to ride Disney's coattails and grab whatever bits of cash they could. But let's get into my strange theory here, because I take a lot of issue with the fact that Odette does not have a mother in this film. I mean, I guess it's easy enough to assume that the production team did not want to deal with creating another unique character on screen, even if that were to be a silent character, but the whole Princesses on Parade routine literally shows us dozens of strange and interesting characters that are used as a bit in a musical number. So how could they not make room to give our main character a mother figure on screen? Seriously, they focus on William wanting a child, and the baby is born off screen and brought to him, but there is no mention of the mother passing away. And we don't even get a hint of sadness from the king, which means that either his wife is alive and has been running the kingdom as a widow after William was attacked on the road, although that theory really doesn't hold water because she still would have been present at Odette's wedding. You know, your daughter goes missing for what's probably several months, and you don't even come to see her for yourself when she's rescued? It's too bizarre to dismiss. Not to mention, when the whole betrothal is going on, that really seems like something the two queens would discuss first. Or, if nothing else, Odette's mother would have been involved in the conversation about the match. Had I been in her shoes, I might have even protested that my baby still had afterbirth on her, and maybe we could cool it on putting a ring on her finger ASAP. Alas, I was not asked to give my input on this matter. But I would also willingly accept that the queen didn't make it through childbirth, because that is a difficult task that took out a lot of women in the old-timey times. But again, neither King William or the narrator mentions the passing of the queen, so I don't think that's the case either. So, if the queen isn't there and she didn't pass away, that leaves us with one potential explanation left. That King William didn't have a queen, or at least not a queen that produced a child for him. Instead, one of the king's mistresses gave birth to Odette, and as his only child, King William decided to claim her as his heir. Which, that explanation kind of makes a lot of these other issues disappear as to why the queen isn't shown, mentioned, or asked to weigh in on her daughter's fate. It's because the king essentially took the baby and threw the incubator away. And who could stop him? He is the king after all. And when we look at it from that angle, we can scan the movie from a whole different context. Are there any women we see who, one, could have potentially been Odette's mother, and two, who would be off-kilter enough that the king would not marry this woman, publicly claim her, or allow her to parent Odette? And with that filter in place, there is one very strange but prominent candidate. This random old hag who seems incapable of coherent speech, and who gets disguised as the Black Swan later in the movie. Now, I always made the assumption that the old woman was Rothbart's mother because of her advanced age, but really, she's pretty age appropriate for the king. Take that information and combine it with the fact that the movie makes zero effort to explain the old woman's connection to Rothbart. She could have been his mother, or his assistant, or his sister, or just a groupie, but being that this woman was under Rothbart's thumb, if our villain were to ask her to cozy up to the king and try to form a relationship, kind of like Alicent Hightower in House of the Dragon, I don't know that she would have protested. Honestly, I can't even tell if she'd have the mental facilities to protest if she wanted to. It's also interesting that Rothbart uses this nameless woman to pose as Odette when Rothbart could have just disguised himself, right? I mean, why not just do it himself rather than trust this important part of his maniacal plan to a crazy lady who could go off the rails at any moment? And with the loosey-goosey rules of Rothbart's magic, did he fully disguise his elder companion, or did he just reverse the clock on her appearance? Truly, we don't know. This woman could have been the spitting image of Odette in her youth and even had the same voice, which certainly would imply a genetic link between herself and Odette. Now, granted, we have no way of knowing what this woman looked like in her youth because the film didn't even bother to give her a name, but it's certainly something worth thinking about. But for me, the smoking gun to this theory is that this old lady who has, at best, been used as the villain's minion throughout the entire film. This old lady who shows no good traits, who seems to delight in Odette's misery, and who is even the catalyst piece that causes Odette's death. Because, you know, she's happy and excited to go to the ball in disguise with the idea that she's going to get Derek to profess his love to the wrong person. She even cackles about it when Rothbart changes her face back to the old lady. So this, for all intents and purposes, bad guy is holding Odette's wedding train at the end of the film? What? Why save her? Why would she get redemption when King William already saw fit to exile her? Why does she get zero comeuppance for her horrendous behavior? Could it be that it's because Odette said off screen at some point that, no, this is my mother, we have to give her another chance? While I cannot fully prove it, this is the only explanation that covers all the bases for why Odette's mother is missing and why the old hag woman gets to live happily ever after when she was a willing participant to evil deeds. And that, my friends, is reasonable doubt to make you question everything about this movie. So go rewatch The Swan Princess, have yourself a good little cringe when the songs play, and then come back here and let me know if you think this theory takes a swan dive. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that? Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos like you helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.